Yo, what's going on, you guys? This is Alternate1, and I'm going to be giving you guys another Outriders build video. And with this build video I'm going to be giving you guys is going to be for the Pyromancer. And this Pyromancer build isn't a damage build or a solo build. It's going to be a team buff or debuff build. So you're basically going to be applying debuffs to enemies so that way you and your team can actually do almost 200% more damage to those enemies. You're going to be applying burn, ash, you're going to be pretty much controlling the battlefield. Because of you, your team is going to be able to get gold a lot easier, even if your team doesn't really have fully optimal or optimized builds. It'll make their DPS just rise through the roof. And if they are a fully optimized Technomancer or Trickster using a shotgun, it's just going to be insane. Their damage is going to be really dumb, and you're just going to be clearing through content so much faster. I would highly recommend a team that wants to get gold a lot easier to have at least one person running this build. I'm telling you, it's going to be much needed if you want to get those fast speedrun clears. And if you're just going for Eye of the Storm, you can just have one Pyro or one Trickster with a Pyromancer doing this. So yeah, let's just go ahead and go right into the build. So first things first is your weapons. So there's two different types of weapons you're going to be using. You have your normal expedition weapons, and then you have your Eye of the Storm weapons. For expeditions, or I guess the normal expeditions, anything other than Eye of the Storm, I use the Air of the Desert and the Juggler. The reason why I use Air of the Desert is because it applies the Sandstorm, which is pretty nice. You don't need to have it if you don't have it. But what's really going to be nice for the both of them is if you do have the Shadow Comet mod. The Shadow Comet mod is a nice AoE that also does burst damage, so that way you're also able to help your team out. If you have the Juggler, if you don't have it, I would recommend just buying it because it gives you the Scrap Grenade and then applying Shadow Comet on it. If you don't have Shadow Comet, you can always just only use the Juggler. You don't need to worry about using anything else. You just shoot once, reload, shoot again, reload, shoot again, reload. But the Juggler does have the Scrap Grenade does have a bug sometimes where you won't get Scrap Grenade back and it won't just keep rocking. But for the most part, these are the two weapons I normally use when I'm doing normal expeditions with my team or even solo sometimes. Next is going to be the Eye of the Storm weapons. So these weapons I use are actually going to be really good because you don't need the Shadow Comet, even though the Shadow Comet technically does more damage than this. But for both Death Shield and the Anemoy, they're really good because of Moaning Winds, and then just add Fortress on top of it if you have Fortress mods. And obviously you need the Moaning Winds mod. But the reason why these are so good in Eye of the Storm is when you're holding a plate and an enemy accidentally walks into your plate, you can just switch to the weapon and then Moaning Winds procs and switch back to your pistols, because you're going to basically mainly use your pistols so that way you're able to help control all the ads. You're not going to be really trying to shoot them too much or anything, because there's really no reason to. You have two Technomancers with you, or one depending on how you're running your group. So next is going to be your pistols. The pistols are going to be very important when it comes to running Eye of the Storm, because that's pretty much all you're going to be using. So I use both Snow Squall and Mark of the Stake, pretty much just like on my my Trickster and my Devastator. I have pretty much the same two mods. They're both tier 2 mods as well, so it shouldn't be too tough to get these. It would be ideal to have the weapon to come with Weapon Life Leech, Skill Life Leech, and Status Power. But unfortunately, I didn't get mine with Status Power, but I did get it with Weapon Life Leech and Skill Life Leech. Snow Squall is going to be very useful because you can actually use it so that way you freeze your enemies. All you have to do is shoot the enemies, as many enemies as you want, and then reload at any time you want. When you reload, enemies will stay frozen for a certain amount of time, and then you just use it again. You can just shoot them and reapply it. And the Mark of the Stake applies burn, and then with the Pyromancer, applying burn will also apply ash after the burn duration ends. So it's going to be really nice in general, also keeping you alive. So next up is going to be the Akari set, or the gear set that you're going to go with, the Legendary. The Legendary is going to be the Akari set. What it does is every enemy damaged by Heat Wave grants 50% anomaly power bonus for 10 seconds. Which means anytime you can hit up to 10 enemies and you'll get up to 500% anomaly power. Now, I'm pretty sure that there is a cap on how much anomaly power you can actually get. It doesn't say there is, but normally there is these hidden caps. Like for the Trickster, there's a hidden cap for how many enemies you can have close to you in order for you to do more damage. So I'm pretty sure it's the same thing. But this set is really good to have because you're going to be using Heat Wave anyways, and Thermal Bomb is going to do a lot of damage. So on the helmet, you want to end up keeping the Fire Tsunami. It's a tier 3 mod, and what it does is it increases the width of the firewall, which is going to be really, really, really good. And then just throw on Ash Blast, or the Ash Increase range, because it increases the Ash Blast range by 66%. Unfortunately, the helmet doesn't come with a cooldown status or cooldown stat, but it does come with Skills Life Leech, Anomaly Power, and Status Power, which is all still really good. One, it helps you stay alive, and it also increases the duration of Ash and the burn damage as well. Next up is going to be Armor of the Akari. So as you can tell, it has Anomaly Power, Skills Life Leech, and cooldown reduction. It came with Tidal Wave, and then you actually have to put Branded on here so that way you can get that 40% more damage anytime an enemy is affected by Thermal Bomb. When an enemy is affected by Thermal Bomb, you can tell because it's going to have the actual bomb icon on the enemy. Next is going to be Waistcloth of the Akari. So Waistcloth of the Akari comes with Anomaly Power, Skills Life Leech, and cooldown reduction. You want to go ahead and put Double Fun on the whatever the tier 3 mod originally was for Waistcloth of the Akari. I don't remember exactly, but yeah, you want to put Double Fun because with this it allows you to hit 2 targets with Thermal Bomb rather than just 1, which is going to be really good, especially for this build, so that way you're able to debuff multiple targets rather than just the 1 target if there is more than just 1 target. And then Irradiation Wave is what you would end up keeping because it debuffs the enemy's damage with Weakness. Weakness does, I believe, 30% debuff to the enemy's damage, which is really nice. So it helps with survivability. Next is going to be your gloves. The gloves you want to end up getting are going to be purple, so you can always check your vendors for blues and greens and then upgrade them up to the purple, or if you get lucky enough and find purple gloves that comes with certain talents, then that's really good, I guess, too. So the 2 mods I ended up putting was both Fire Frenzy and Burnt Out. This originally was a green glove, and then I ended up upgrading it, and it came with Fire Frenzy. With this, the reason why you want to have Fire Frenzy is because it gives you that 1 extra Thermal Bomb before hitting cooldown, and then Burnt Out is really good because, well, it's 25% more damage when the enemy is affected by Heat Wave. Next is going to be your boots. So the boots is going to actually have to be purple as well because you need the Anomaly Power, Status Power, and cooldown reduction from them. And the mods that ended up coming on here, so it doesn't really matter what the Hellfire, you don't really need Hellfire. It's nice, but you don't really need it. What you do need is Ride the Wave. So if your boots end up coming with Ride the Wave automatically, then that's really good because that means you could actually run a different mod instead of Hellfire. What I would suggest running instead of Hellfire is something like Emergency Stance or anything more survivability wise. Emergency Stance would be something I would highly recommend though because it's just a lot better in terms of, I guess, like I said, survivability. And then here are all the stats that you actually want to try to aim for. So as you can see, firepower doesn't really matter, but my pistol's firepower is at 80.2k. And then the anomaly power is it's going to be limited. It's going to be capped to 125k because in your class tree, you're not going to be going anywhere near the bottom tree, which has all the anomaly percentages. But you are going to have pretty much 90% status power and 40% global cooldown reduction. And then you're under the health tab. It all really depends on your weapon and yeah, it all really depends on the weapon you're using, but you're going to end up getting weapon life leech and skill life leech to around 18%. So the skills that are pretty much required for this build is going to be Ash Blast, Thermal Bomb, and Heat Wave. The reason why you need Ash Blast is because, one, it helps with keeping control of the battlefield, pretty much making all the enemies frozen for a certain amount of time, depending on how much status power you actually have. And the other thing is you're going to allow your team and yourself do 25% more damage to enemies affected by Ash. So, and not just that, but you're going to apply vulnerability to enemies affected by Ash. So it just makes it a whole lot better to use Ash Blast. Now for Thermal Bomb and Heat Wave, those are obviously needed because you are going to be able to apply those debuffs to the enemies, making them take way more damage. But the thing is, if you don't know, Thermal Bomb can stack multiple times as well as Heat Wave. So if you have 2 Thermal Bombs and 3 Heat Waves, which you should, you're going to basically have 80% damage coming from Thermal Bomb instead of 40% and 75% coming from Heat Wave instead of 25%. Heat Wave does have an 8-second duration, whereas Thermal Bomb is going to last until it ends up getting wiped off from the enemy. So I want to say it lasts for about 10 seconds ish, but just to activate all I guess all 5 of them, since you're going to be activating 2 Thermal Bombs and 3 Heat Waves, it takes maybe 3, 4, 5 seconds to activate all of those skills at once. Now for the skill tree or the class tree, as you can see, you're not going to actually go anything into Tempest, because Tempest doesn't give you any sort of buffs. You don't get anything for your team. Tempest is actually meant more for a solo explosive build, or I guess just the damage build in general. But you want to mainly go in the top tree and a little bit in the middle tree. So in the top tree, as you can see, you want to get Incinerate, and you're going to get Trials by Ash, I think that's what it was called, and then Ashes to Ashes, which allows you to make enemies vulnerable, and the Trial of Ashes. So as you can see, both of them will go up to 25% more damage to enemies affected by Ash. Trial by Fire is an additional 5% extra damage. Wildfire is going to be really good because it's an extra 10% decrease to your cooldowns, and obviously you want to have all the cooldown mods for Immobilize and I forgot what the other one was called, but pretty much everything that I have here is what you want to have just to be the most effective support or team debuffer or buffer, whatever you want to call yourself. So that's pretty much it with this build video. Hopefully this helped you guys out. If it did, go ahead and leave a like, comment, subscribe. If you have any questions or concerns, let me know down in the comment section as well, and I will try my best to help you guys out to the best of my ability. I am going to also play the whole, I think it was 2 minutes and 56 seconds of the entire fight of Eye of the Storm of both me and the 2 other Technomancers. This is currently our fastest run, but we know we can definitely go faster, probably around 2 minutes and 30 seconds ish. But this build, without it, we definitely would have never gotten that fast of a run. And even other runs in just the normal expeditions, we get really fast times as well. So if you haven't already with a Pyromancer, I would highly recommend making this build, especially if you enjoy doing team play and you want to get those easy gold runs, because this is just gonna make it a lot faster to just go farming. Or if you want to carry other people, having you and 1 extra Technomancer carrying 1 person, this is the build to do it with, because it's going to increase everybody's damage and yours as well. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Hopefully, like I said, this helped you guys out. If it did, leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the clip. Thanks. All right, peace and bye.
Just throw out the turret loose when you can.
I am, bro. I'm looking at the cooldown, bro. I'm looking at the cooldown. Relax.
Room mother's out. Yeah, I don't.
Get off. We gotta go, bro. Earlier is
What's your list?
Bro, my fucking pillar's like not even close to finish. What the?
Mine's almost halfway done.
Bro, we're like a